All right, everyone, you guys want to have a seat? Jason, are you still handing stuff out? Okay. Jason's going to come around and hand out the rest of the handouts today. Welcome back. Can you believe we're at week 5? Right? Week 5. So a couple housekeeping items. I know that there were several emails that were sent out. Guys, this is extremely important. Several emails that were sent out that said, okay, we're having trouble with videos, and this is strictly for the pitch. On your agendas that you received in your packets, can you all pull out your agenda? Can you please cross out where on the agenda, in the big yellow highlight, it says that we've extended the pitch in the video? That is no longer correct. We were going to. We got a lot of pushback for those that did work on it and submitted it and were able to upload the video. So, update is please cross that out. Everything is due tonight by midnight. Pitch questions and the video. However, the caveat to that is, if you are having an issue with the video, contact Natalie and or Gail and let them know. We are not going to disqualify you because of technical issues, okay? I want everyone to know that, and I'll be with you in 1 second. So if it's just the technical issues, remember your questions will go through just fine, okay? But if the video is what you're having trouble with, contact Natalie and or Gail. Any questions on that? Gotcha. We're on live stream tonight, by the way, so I'm going to be handing out microphone.
Is it okay if I have like my video uploaded in a Google Drive and it's like an open link to view instead of sending the video from phone to phone?
I can't answer that question, but if you don't mind, just shoot Natalie and Gail an email and let them know that and ask them that question. I don't want you to be disqualified because I gave you the wrong answer.
I sent mine a couple times, and I don't know if it went through. Will we be getting like a confirmation that the video went through? Because I kept getting errors that it wasn't going through.
Okay, so I have a list with some names on it that I'll be asking to stop at the front desk before you guys eat today that we have some questions with. And if that is not answered, please let me know, and I'll write that down, obviously, and get it to everyone. Anyone else? Questions? How we feeling? Excited, I love that. So in order to kind of just debrief on last week, I know that we were a little bit rushed getting everything in. I know that we did a huge overview of financial statements, which for some was probably never seen by you, and that's okay. We just wanted to make sure that you understood what banks are looking at when we're going through financial statements. We really wanted to make sure that you had an idea when your banker was asking you questions. Guys, this all fits into your business plan, so it's kind of, just an additional add-on to your business plan. Does anyone have any questions on anything that happened last week that you want to ask now before you guys do your pitches? Tonight at midnight they're due. Everyone okay? Okay. And then the second, or I guess the first part of last week was Julie Bratton from the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, really talking about the pitch. I've had a few of you come up to me that were going to send me a business plan, and you had to tweak it. That's the point in all of this, guys, right? So as each week goes by, that's what we want you to do. That's why we're here. That's why we're here helping you. Don't feel like you can only send me the business plan like a week ago. Absolutely. If you want me to look at it, if you want Gail to look at it, Natalie, Michael Stevens, who was here last week, please send it to us. The best idea is to copy all of us on it, because whoever can kind of take a peek and give some feedback on it, that's the main point, right? That's what we're here for. That's what we want to make sure that we are helping you with. All right, so are we ready for tonight? I just want to give one more pitch. When are your questions and video due? Yes, tonight by midnight, please. Like I said, if you're having an issue, if it's a technology issue, please email Gail and Nat. I keep trying to combine their names. And they put me in charge tonight, guys, so I need to make sure that you're all in line, right? No, I'm joking. We're gonna have fun tonight. We have some visitors in the back. Keith Nisley, who is one of my branch partners at the Hershey branch. He's a branch manager. Where did Corey go? All right, we had two. Apparently one ran away. We also want to recognize Heather Wiley. Again, she's the one who feeds us every single week. So Heather Wiley, please give me your actual title. Sales Specialist? Sales Strategy and Support Specialist. And in the beginning of the night, we're going to have Jason kick us off, and Madonna. She's downstairs. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over. Second half of the evening is going to be to M&T people, and I will announce them after, before we go to dinner. Oh, please. I forgot the other guest. I did announce Denise. She's standing right here next to me. Oh. Go Celtics, I'm just saying. Okay, without further ado, here we go. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. What's going on, everybody? Good evening on this nice, warm, muggy, smoggy day. Hope everybody's respiratory issues are okay, who don't have any respiratory issues. I know we have because it's small, Canada. Yeah, we can't see outside. I just want to make sure everybody's health is great, awesome, and nobody passes out or anything like that, because we are going on a ride. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. As everybody's seen, hopefully I got everybody's packet, if I didn't miss anybody, with all the literature and information that I actually gave to everybody. We are not going to be doing a PowerPoint because this has been too much to actually look over, and it took probably about a couple hours. So we're going to basically go through a lot of this stuff. We have a lot to talk about, where I know last week everybody talked about the credit stuff that we were talking about, but the 5 C's and everything like that. We're going to have somebody reiterate that to go back and forth about what was missed. I know I'm probably repeating what was just said. So if everybody looks at the package they have, this is a lesson on business credit. We're jumping right in. Oh, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. How is everybody? Talk to me, I'll talk back. My name is Denise Hill. Lovely to see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm wonderful and happy to see some new faces as well. I proudly serve as the Director of Economic Development and the Director of Building and Housing Development for the City of Harrisburg. So when your businesses are up and running, when you make it through this class and you are ready to do business within the City of Harrisburg proper, you'll be calling me and asking me for money. So one of the only pieces of information that I want to give to you before I get out the way and Jason's going to walk y'all through this packet is my contact information. I wasn't going to be nice. I was going to jump right in. All right, so Denise, D-E-N-N-I-S-E. I am particular about that second N. Last name Hill. Email address, best way to catch me is HILL at harrisburgpa.gov. Harrisburg is all spelled out. My office number, 717-255-6411. 717-255-6411. I will ask only one favor of you all. If you cannot get a hold of me one of those ways, go to Harrisburg Police Department. Something is very, very wrong. You have multiple ways to get a hold of me. If there is something that I can do to help, I can. If any of you run a nonprofit or a LLC, I also oversee all of the CDBG Community Development Block Grant funding for the city, as well as ESG, Emergency Solutions Grant, which is homelessness, homeless prevention, domestic violence, all of that funding. We also run a lead safe program. So what else am I missing? Home funding. Anybody that is interested in construction for affordable housing, if you've listened to the news at all, anything related to Harrisburg, you have heard it 1,002 times. That's me. So again, you have all my contact information and anything that we can do to help you. I have connections throughout the county, so if you are not yet doing business in the city, but you're interested, but you're doing something, I hail from the greatest place on earth. I am a proud roller. I'm from Stilton. So, yes, roller clap. If you're doing business in Stilton, High Spire, Middletown, anywhere in Dauphin County, let me know. I have connections in Cumberland County. Anything that I can do, I am here to help. I got a big mouth, as y'all can tell, so I'm gonna go sit in the back, but you'll probably hear me yell at my colleague Jason throughout the night. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, she told me not to talk for a very long time, so that is my directive. Everybody give it up again for Denise Hill. So, not going to fault her from being where she's from, and then somebody else said something to me about Cheney University. We're not going to fault that either, but bless your heart. So, to get into it, as everybody looks at all the packages they have, and I have a habit of doing this too. It's been a very long day. My name is Jason Grays. I am the Director of Business Development for City of Harrisburg. And my contact information, if you are ready, it is 717-255-6471. I'll say it again, 717-255-6471. That's my direct office line. My email address is jgraves, G-R-A-V as in Victor, E-S, at harrisburgpa.gov. If you need to repeat that, I will. Yep, 717-255-6471. And after this, I'll get with everybody. I'll give everybody my digital card if you want it, and I'll give everybody all that information as well. So, as everybody see, we have a handful of packets here. Primarily, we're dealing with business credit. So we have one, what is business credit? Second one is how to get business credit cards. Another one, companies that help build business credit. Along with that, too, is a very particular subject that everybody should look at in this audience is a packet from the Pennsylvania Commonwealth. This is about MBE and WMBE certifications. This is something that is very important if you are looking for extra funding to go that route. I'll probably get everybody's information as far as to send them a link. There's a thing of self-certification. So self-certification for contracting, you also will have to go through the state of Pennsylvania. It was a longer form. I'll actually get the link and give it to everybody after the end of the class as well. So it goes through almost the same parameters as actually doing the MBEs and filling out for a certification, but it's not on the same, you're just basically self-certifying. So it gears you up to actually do the certification itself. But this is basically the ticket. So if you're doing a self-certification, you're going to just be function in that particular area. You can't take that to use it really anywhere else. It's just for basically for contracting for the state purposes. It's not really recognized for real. It's just you're saying who you are and so forth. I know a lot of people always want to know what is the the thing that they look at when you self-certify or certify as a minority or women-owned business or anything like that. The thing is, this is what was told to me from a lot of people from the Eastern MSDC, which is a minority business company that does a lot of networking. They have a certification program to help you get in with contracting with certain companies. The main thing that they're looking at is make sure that you are who you are, because there are a lot of people out there that will use the minority business, or even with women business certifications, to have businesses so they can get those credits, so they can actually get the percentages of the businesses that you should have. So that is something that is not taken lightly at all, and it's something that everybody should look into. Another packet that we have here, we have two. Another one is the SBA A8 Business Development Program. I'll touch on this lightly towards the end. The SBA has a lot of programs out there for small businesses to get into, especially if you're looking at for the long-term goal of actually having your business for the longevity. So a lot of the SBA programs are for long-term benefits to help you and guide you through the way if you're missing something, if you need critiques, if you need help, just like classes like this. So you'll have like a mentor along with you to actually help you out and guide you with like accounting and so forth, to help you guide into the right way so you're not lost. There's another faction that actually deals with the SBDC. SBDC also helps a lot of people too as well if you need that extra help. And again, these services are free. So always take that in mind. So you say you're not worried about paying another penny or a cost, like, damn, how much is this gonna cost me? These are things that are services that are free, and these people are very willing to help you. You have SCORE, which is another one. SCORE is kind of, I don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to throw any shade at SCORE, but I'm not really sure about what's going on with SCORE. SCORE is a very, very great program. The SCORE program is basically housed by a lot of people who are retired business owners. So if you are looking for a mentor, and they do one-on-ones, if you know anybody who actually is a business owner or retired or looking to help people, I would contact SCORE to recommend them as well, because they are willing to help, but it's like they're so stretched very thin because you have a lot of people who want to spend the time, but again, they don't have the time to. The last two pieces of paper I have is another SBA program called Thrive. This is an emerging leadership reimagine program. This is another thing that we're rolling out within this year. Same thing. This is a 100-hour training program, and this guides you in a lot of ways as far as like federal funding, what they have out there to help people in need who are looking for basically funding for businesses, or you're looking for something to start a business or keep your business going. Again, SBA is part of the federal government, so they have a lot of programs out there that you can actually use. Just like Denise said, she has a lot of contacts, same with me with the county. On the county level, there are a lot of, they have 26, I think, programs total to help with small businesses and housing and everything like that. So if you're looking for that, there's you can contact the Economic Development Department of the county, and they can lead you in the right direction as well too. So the last piece of paper that we have is a little cheat sheet for your. Yeah, go ahead.
It's one thing, it's great for the county to have, or anybody to have a whole lot of programs available to you, but if you cannot access them, that's a problem. So that's how we can be helpful, even though we're with the city. That's what I'm talking about connections, okay? Make sure you are utilizing every connection that you have in any way possible. And that's no shade, no knock to the county or anybody else, but if you cannot access it, what good is it, right?
So to second that, that's the reason why me and her are here. That's the reason why we were invited to come here, because we are the liaisons and the go-throughs to get in contact with a lot of these people. It is tiresome sometimes, but again, we're here to do it, and we're here to help you. So the last piece of paper is a business canvas model. So this is like a quick outline, so you can actually do a quick blurb about what you want to do with your business. So it breaks everything down as for customer relationship, value positions, key activities. This is also going to help you. It's almost a cheat sheet that almost help you if you're trying to write a business plan. So you can write all your thoughts down. You can recopy this and write all your thoughts about what you want to do, how you want to do your business, and basically all thoughts that you have, all the notes that you want to get down. So it's like almost like an outline to basically help you compile everything and say, you know, this is the beginning factors of what I can do. Because I know a lot of people have ideas up in their head, but the problem is we don't write them down. and then you forget about them, and you think about it later on. It's like, man, I wish I'd have had that idea and wrote it down, but now I don't. So you miss things. So on top of that, yeah, because people, yeah, skip around. Okay. So if everybody can go to the first packet that I sent to everybody is, what is business credit? Like I said, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to be bouncing around through a lot of these packets. So this is something I'm going to reiterate. I think this was said like a couple weeks ago about business credit, about obtaining business credit. Like, I have an EIN number. You can do whatever you want to do. There are a lot of things online, like YouTube and everything like that, that say, you know what, you can start an EIN number in a day. I can just get an EIN number today, and I can start my business. You can get $100,000 worth of money and funding and everything like that. That's true, but it's not true. So there are factors along with that. So if you just want to use EIN only, or you just want to use your LLC, I know everybody wants to use their business as their actual functionality to house everything, so you are not like bombarded with the debt or the credit on your own personal credit. So this was something that was said last week, which is true. You are always going to be your guarantee, no matter what. Your personal credit is always going to be a guarantee unless a couple of factors. Unless you are liquid enough, you have the assets, or again, you have extreme amounts of wealth. And if you don't have that, a lot of times you are going to be the guarantee no matter what. You're always going to be using your personal credit for anything that you do. Because again, they have to have a guarantee, even though if you have an LLC or whatever, nothing is binded to you if something goes wrong with it. But to get that funding, you have to have these things. So the portion of this talk tonight is about things that you can actually start up to actually get personal credit for your business, well, not personal credit, but business credit for you, as far as the wells of cars or anything like that, and things that you need. So when you're dealing with business credit, there's always the factors of how do I actually form my business? And the thing is, when you go to a workshop like this, or any workshop period, they always talk about these things. So if you skip ahead 2 pages, and you'll see a line that says establishing business credit. So under that, the first thing it says, number 1 is forming an LLC. Everything that you do when it comes to your business, you still have to form all these things to actually have a business and everything recommended. So it's like getting an employer identification number, which is your EIN number. Getting a business phone line with a 411 directory listing. So you have to be registered, you have to be listed so somebody can recognize you. Establishing a physical address and not a P.O. box. So I know a lot of people use P.O. boxes for a lot of things, so this is a quick note. So you go to if you want to get an address that you don't want to use your own physical address yourself, what you can do is you can go to a UPS store. UPS store has suite addresses. That suite address is the actual address of the street it's on. It's like, for instance, you have the Union Deposit store that's on, the UPS store that's on Union Deposit Road. So whatever the actual physical address for Union Deposit Road is, that will be your suite address. So you will have that physical address. So you want to basically start things to show that you are real. So if you have, again, you do everything on social media and you're using your own personal cell phone number, or you have a P.O. box, after a while it becomes a little sketchy. And people are wondering, okay, is this business actually real? Where are they actually at? Where are they physically located? So again, those are sole things that you can actually use to separate from your business, from your personal life. So going down, also one thing that is also official was, again, getting the documents correctly listed for your business name. So you have, again, being registered through the state, being registered through like the municipality or whatever. And one thing that you should look at is getting registered for Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet helps you along the lines as far as establishing your business credit. So again, when you get registered with Dun & Bradstreet, you're being seen by everybody. So if I go on there, I can actually look you up. Yes?
What if, for example, I started my LLC, but I want to do business as a different name? How does that work? Do you just do the DBA when you're listing everything, like on Google, or do you use the LLC?
So that's a good question. So if you are using a separate name, The thing is, you still will want to do an amendment because you're still going, if you can't, you're not going to continue to keep using the LLC for another personal name. So if you're doing a secondary name, you still have to register that secondary name as an umbrella. So that still has to be registered as a factor. You can't use all the existing things with that name if it's not registered with anything. So if you're just using like, okay, I'm using XYZ, you're not registering anything, but you're using everything under the LLC, again, that becomes kind of suspicious activity because, okay, what are you doing with this money? What are you doing with this business? So anything that you do on the safety end for yourself, you should always register whatever you're doing. If you're looking at to start a branching off a bunch of umbrellas, register those and have those under an umbrella. And then on top of that, you still have to do another bank account, have everything funneled through that. Yeah, the DBA, yeah, you can go out with that. Yeah, you don't want to, because I know a lot of people, if you open a business up, a lot of times a lot of people will get, basically, I want to have a whole bunch of umbrellas. I want to do like 5 different names for a business under my LLC, but none of these names are registered. And the problem with that is, okay, if you're doing that, okay, you have a bank account tied to each one of those names, or you're funneling under everything into one bank account, but there's no umbrella for it. So you can't, that becomes suspicious activity. That's when taxes get involved. That's when you get flagged. That becomes a lot of stuff. Ask the banking people, they'll tell you. So that's a real big flag because you don't want to have a boatload of money coming through and you're trying to figure out where it's going through, and that's where an accountant comes in if you don't want to list those things. You just don't want to get yourself jammed up into a bunch of trouble as far as like on the money and the tax side of it. And you don't want to confuse those things. Because like I said, if it's going to be a straight DBA, you have a separate one, keep that separate. Don't mix both of them, especially if it doesn't have neither one of them have nothing to do with each other. So, next thing besides a DBA, DMB, and Dun & Bradstreet, setting up a website. Another way that you can actually show that you are an actual business. Again, people go on searches, they look for things to see what you're doing. If you're actually active, it's the same thing if you feel like nowadays, if you actually go apply for a job, people look you up to see what kind of social media you have, to see if you are real, see if you are having suspicious activities or if you're doing something wild. But the same thing with a business, people look at a lot of things and make sure that you have an actual active account. Because again, people will say, okay, you can call me or text me or check my email at such and such at gmail.com or yahoo.com. Again, that's something I can just basically set up any time of the day that I want to. You want to have an actual email address with your actual company. You want to have an actual website that you actually come, even if you have a startup page, you want to have something that's going to have information on there that's like coming soon to, or whatever, to actually house information about your business. You don't want to have everybody guessing to see if, again, if you're actually factual or actual real. So, past that is something very important, and I'll tell you this, is starting up a business bank account. You don't want to do anything with your personal stuff. That's a no-no, because if you do, again, you don't want to mix your personal with your business. You want to keep everything separate as possible. And again, when it comes to tax information, stuff like that, that's where anything gets funny. So if you're just basically doing something as a hobby, that's a completely different story. So I have like making a couple $100 or something a year or $1,000 a year, and you're just doing it as a hobby using your personal stuff, cool. But if you're reaching thresholds past that 9999 number and you're doing tens of thousands of dollars and you're putting everything in your personal account, again, okay, what are you doing? If you're registering as a business, but you have a personal account, that doesn't look right. Again, these are all other ways too to establish credit. So again, they look at again business stuff for accounts, websites, anything like that to actually establish yourself as a visible entity as an actual business. So you don't want to mix a lot of things in personal lows because again, it's not viable and everything to look at. What are you looking at? Don't feel bad. I'm like a stepchild, so don't feel bad. So, all right. So, if you want to establish things for your business, one thing that I see is under here is establishing net 30 accounts. So you have net 30, 60, and 90 accounts. These are like small accounts you can get from like department stores or anything like that. Anything that have like the main thing is like office supplies. stuff like that. And these are accounts that pay off within 30, 60, or 90 days. And these also can help you establish business credit. In the packet, if you go through, I know I'm skipping ahead.
While he's finding that, everybody pull out a piece of paper for me, wherever you wrote my contact information. I need you to write down the following letters. We're going to do a word scramble while he's looking for it. D, you took too long. L, Y, N like Nancy, N like Nancy again. O, R, E, O, W, O. I think I got it right from memory this time. The answer is only one word, and I am willing to wager that you have encountered it at least once today. So first letter, I'll give that clue, is O. So far, oh, D like Delta, yes, my bad. I'm sorry. He's like, that's not what I was asking at all. That first one you said, like, then I'm like, N like Nancy. Came out the gate wrong. It's only one word. First letter is O, thanks to Corey. And I know you've encountered it at least once today. Is Madonna still here? Yeah, you've encountered it at least once today. Yes, yep, it's legal. It's only one word. Last letter is D, like Delta. First letter is O, last letter is D. It's only one word. You've encountered it at least once today. Onward delay. Today. You got it. Oh, okay. All right, I'll go through it one last time, and then I'll give you the answer. The answer is only one word. The first letter is O, last letter is D, and you have encountered it probably multiple times today since you've been here. You ready for the answer? The answer is only one word. Oftentimes, you are given the answer. I said it multiple times, but your brain was wired that you were looking for only one word with all those letters. Take a step back, look at it from a different perspective. Again, use your resources and your network like I was talking about earlier, and just keep that as a reminder. I wanted you to put it by my contact information so the next time you look at it and you get frustrated and be like, only one word, I should have knew that.
Mr. Jason,
Yes, ma'am.
may I interject?
Yes, ma'am.
I loved that because I do that all the time and I miss things. Hi, I'm Jessica and I'm from M&T Bank and I will talk to you after the break, but I wanted to interject on a couple really good points you were making and some good questions. From a banking perspective, that DBA name, we wanted to just mention that you would want to file a fictitious name and you want to bring that to the bank because we need to know about that. We won't accept checks. We won't be able to do anything with that if you don't have a fictitious name filed with the state. So you're going to want to do that if you're doing business as something other than your registered LLC. And then secondarily, I wanted to mention that you have a really great idea with the UPS store. They give you a nice suite number, but if you're applying for credit with the bank, we might do a site visit. And when we Google that UPS store and we find that it's a UPS store, we're going to become suspicious and we're going to be concerned. So please tell your banker, we're using a mailing address at a UPS store, and then give us your physical address, because if you don't, it is going to cause issues if you are applying for credit or if we do have to do a site visit, which is typical when you're first applying for a loan. So I just wanted to mention those two items.
Thank you. That was right on point. So I'm gonna tell you a little tidbit. I'm not gonna get into a whole bunch of banking stuff because I actually used to be a small business person for Citizens Bank.
Which you can see on your
So,
bio that we
yes.
handed out.
Yes. So there's a lot of things I'm not going to say because I don't want to have a conflict of interest about certain things. So I will keep those to myself. But I'm skipping ahead. We're not going to actually physically go through this. This is the part as far as establishing business credit. This form right here, companies that help you with business credit, these are actually cards that will give you for net 30 and everything like that, 60 and 90. So there are a couple companies in here that will actually help you establish certain things for business credit. And a lot of the stuff, like I said, mentioned before, a lot of it's like office supplies. So office supplies are good things, paper or anything like that, something you can pay off quick and fast, not like real super duper large purchases. Those are really, really good aspects to have. So how to establish business credit. So if you're going to go ahead and go to the next page, again, establishing like business credit as far as like with store credit card accounts is a good thing, is what I mentioned earlier. Apply for working capital loans is also another good thing to actually help you build credit. Applying for secure and unsecured credit cards, again, under your business name is a good credit. Like, again, if your credit level is that high, like companies like Capital One has business cards. American Express, they're really known for having business cards. And you can look at like a lot of other places that actually have them, but a lot of people, those are like the most popular ones because you can actually use those for certain things. And remember, with a credit card, it's the difference between a credit card and a charge card. So American Express is a charge card, it's not a credit card. So he's basically using that to pay bills and stuff like that, not just to make random purchases. Other ways to how to build business credit. Make sure you are building the business credit history. That's another big thing. So that's where I came from as far as like establishing a line with Dun & Bradstreet to actually get you seen and known. Paying bills and credit lines on time. So if you get these net 30 and 60-day and 90 accounts, you want to make sure that you pay these accounts on time because, again, these help you build business credit. Keeping the debts down is the same thing, works the exact same way as personal credit. So if you're over a certain threshold, again, if you're like 40 to 60% of your debt to income ratio, guess what? Nobody's going to give you any money. So, again, you have to keep your debts down. Keeping spending under control. Again, a lot of people spend money. It's a force of habit. It's nature. So if you see something you want to buy it, right? If women see a pair of shoes or a dress you want, guess what? You're going to get it. She shops all the time. I talk about her all the time. So she's gonna make that face like she doesn't, but she does. Exactly. Say it again.
I spend what I want.
Exactly. So increasing your number of credit lines. Credit lines are a good thing to have. And again, like I'll say this, I have a couple credit lines on my accounts to keep my credit score up. And a lot of these credit lines aren't me actually spending my own money just to add money to an account so they reach a certain threshold, I can pull that money out and use that versus continue to keep using credit that I don't want to have or just giving myself debt. I'm basically just paying myself back. I know, I'm not sure if M&T does it, but I know there are banks that you can actually get a debit card that acts as a credit card, and you can actually just give the line of credit of your own money, and you're basically paying yourself back. That also helps you build credit. It's a quick cheat. That way you're not worried about building extra debt or anything like that. So at the end of the day, if you don't pay something off, that's your own money, but that's your own fault. So that's another thing you got to think about. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about how just a few minutes ago you said don't mix personal and business.
So personal line of credit, well, don't mix your personal business as far as using your own money. So if you want to open a card, like a business card up, and you're pulling it from that account, you use your own money versus applying for an actual credit line itself. So the credit is your own money. So if you get a card for $200 that you're spending that's your own money for, that $200 is your money. So you're just basically pulling off of that money and it pays out of that account. Same thing if you open like I said, if you open a line of credit, like I have one I got a Credit Karma account. I think it's Credit Karma. So I have a $600 limit on it. So the only thing I do is I pay $25 a month into this account, and when it reaches that $600 threshold, I can pull that money out because it's my money. I'm just replenishing that account myself. So and in turn with that, it actually helps you build credit. It's cool. You get an extra like 10, 15 points added onto your credit score if something does happen. If you get an inquiry, it actually pumps that back up. There is, you can use that for your business. So if you go through this, I think we have another company called DV. There's a couple of companies out there that actually do this, and it's all in this packet, the second packet. So you have a couple companies out there that do it. So if you do set, like I said, I was wondering if M&T's, I know Members has something like that, where you can actually set that account up. And I'm not sure if you guys do it as well. It's actually using your own money as a card.
Oh, like a secure.
Like a secure credit card, yeah.
We have a secured credit card, right?
We do. Thumbs up. On the personal side. On the personal side, not on the business.
Oh.
It can help with your personal credit. Yes. And again, like I said earlier today, your personal credit is still going to be attached to your business credit. So if you still have to use your personal credit for something to get credit, that's always something to keep your credit boosted up and keep to the point where you can use it all the time. So just like you said last week, and I'm pretty sure this happened a couple weeks ago, your personal credit is always going to affect what you have going on with your business. No matter what the internet says, no matter if you talk to a business consultant and says, you know what, you can get all this stuff with just an EIN number. It's like, oh, my EIN number is 9 digits long. It's the same as my social security number. That means I can get all this stuff. No, that's not real. That's not real. It's real to an extent, but like I said, you still have to have those factors of, again, I have bomb credit, I have a whole bunch of money, or I have a whole bunch of assets. That's the only way you're going to be able to separate anything. If you don't have those three things, guess what? You're still going to be using your personal credit no matter what. So that's one thing that you always have to think about. Avoid crucial mistakes. Predatory lenders. I mean, that's always happened in the past of time with housing and everything else. Again, back in my day, Denise's day as well, we're not going to give our ages out, a lot of people in here, when you're going to college, Cheney, you had a whole bunch of people on campus that were, the first thing, my first credit card was a Discovery credit card. Everybody, for the most part, if you go to college, that's the first thing you have. And again, that's predatory lending. So they're going to come out and say, you know what, sign up for this credit card. You get $1,000 right here and there. Have no credit, have no job, you're on campus. And they're going to give you a credit card regardless, and you're going to spend it up, just like everybody does.
But when it's raining and they're giving away umbrellas,
Exactly.
hello,
You're going to
that's what
take
I
it.
got.
Exactly. You're going to take it.
Listen, I was guilty. I had no job on my college campus, and it was pouring down rain, and I needed to get to my other class, and they're like, sign up for a credit card. My father told me never to do that.
Yep.
I really needed an umbrella. I'll be honest, 5 years later, I really wish that I didn't need that umbrella because I totally screwed up my credit, had no money to pay a credit card, but, you know, I was 18. Sorry. I had
No,
to
you're good.
interject.
No, that's
Personal.
real talk.
Yeah.
That's
Took me
real.
7 years, guys, to clean up my credit.
Yeah.
It was only a $500 limit. I had no money. I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a golf umbrella.
It was a golf
Hello.
umbrella. Yeah, exactly. Super large. So.
To lose. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I would probably think it was that night. Yeah, that would be my guess. But yes, yes. I was 18. My dad laughs to this day that I'm a banker because of all of that. Mm-hmm. He's like, how could you be a banker? And I'm like, thanks, Dad. I love you too.
So also one thing on predatory lenders, and one thing we just talked about with personal and business credit, do not pay off your business debts with your personal money, with your personal accounts. Again, do not mix that up. Because again, you're going to start dibbling and dabbling. You're like, you know what, I don't have that much money in my personal account, but I got like $1,000 in my business account. I want to take a trip. Don't do that. Or I want to buy a pair of sneakers, or I want to buy some clothes. Don't do that. Like, that's the one thing that can get you jammed up, because again, if you're using an accountant, they're going to ask you, okay, what are you using this money for? How are you accounting for this? Okay, what receipts do you have? What did you buy this for? And again, if nothing matches up, guess what? Again, you're putting yourself into a cycle where you're going to basically jam yourself up and get your business in trouble. That's one thing you don't want to do. Like, again, I'm not going to lie, I've done it. Like, I've done it. So I've used my own personal stuff to pay for business stuff. And again, it doesn't work out, because at the end of the day, you're going to sort of pay that money back. So you're basically going in another hole again, using money that you don't have to use and you should not use. Yes.
Sorry, guys, we have live stream today, so we need to make sure we talk into that or they can't hear us.
So I've heard about not using your business account for personal stuff, but I thought that it was kind of okay to use your personal, like funnel some
For certain things.
amounts into your business account, especially if you're first starting out for like inventory.
If you're using
No?
it to fund yourself, that's a different story. But if you're going to continue to keep using stuff to pay for stuff and buy things, don't do that because you're basically using your business account as your personal account. So if you're using your, like for instance, on the flip side of that, for your business account, say again, I'm not an accountant, I don't work for the bank. But the thing is, say if I'm going out for a lunch and I'm using my business credit card to pay for my lunch, technically use it as a write-off. Make sure it's a business expense. Like things like that. You don't want to go on like a shopping spree and stuff like that and using all your money for personal items. Again, how are you going to account for that? It's something you can't write off.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I feel like I have to comment too, because that's what I do. So,
Yeah.
guys, 9 times out of 10, the money to fund your new business is always coming from your
Yeah.
personal. Okay? We have customers use, I feel like I'm gonna be quoted, and I'm gonna say, don't quote me on this, but we have customers use like home equity lines of credit to
start a
actually
business.
do the lending for their business. People do it. What I wanna preface is, if you do it and then you want to write it off, and just like what Jason was saying, if you don't have receipts, you can't do it. It's always, I shouldn't say always, but 99% of the time when you're starting up a business, that's where the funds are coming from, because your business is you. So, you know, what Jason's saying is, you know, be careful what you do. Keep receipts for everything that you do so you can prove that it was for the business.
Yeah, because the
Someone
thing
else
is,
had a question first.
just remember, you are your own business partner. You are your first business partner yourself.
I just had a comment about when we were talking about the securing the credit card. So my business credit, when I first opened my business account, I actually had a secured credit card. And so you could do it up to whatever amount you wanted to do it for. And after so many months, it transitioned to unsecured. So, yes.
Wow, where was that at? Really? Okay, I used to work there too. Anyway, so 9 times out of 10, what happens with your first business credit card is it's really not in your business name, guys. It's in your personal name. Yeah, it says your business name on it. It does not mean that it's in your business name. Okay. Okay, I'm trusting you. Our business credit cards, even at M&T, and I've worked for 4 banks, your business is on your credit card, but it's in your personal credit. Okay, a lot of people don't realize that. It happens at every bank I worked at. So just kind of put that in perspective. So because you are your business, just like what Jason was just saying, okay?
My question is, if you are using your home, the equity in your home to fund your business, at what point can you separate that? Like, as far as if I have a line of credit and I start using that line of credit to fund the business and only the business, when can I actually make that transition to just make it a business loan and release my home? After paying the loan off.
It is a great question, and I'm turning it back to Jason because this is his series, but you know I'll chime in. You want me to chime in?
You can. I can answer it.
No, please.
So it's just like
I feel
I
like
said
I'm
ear-
taking over.
No,
here.
you're good. It's the same thing I said earlier. Like and just like she said, again, you are going to be funding your own business yourself. When you look at that line of credit, it's basically it's a loan towards yourself for your business. So when you pay that back, your next step is you want to actually start to apply for business loans to actually get yourself out of that hole for personal use. So after you get that line of credit out the way, you don't have to continue to keep funding it. You should not continue to keep funding it, especially with the business started if you're pulling a line of credit from your house. But you should, after things are established and everything like that, you should start looking at business loans to actually fund that business itself versus using your personal all the time.
So there's not really a magic number.
it's not.
It's when you think that you can afford it. This is where kind of like what I said the past couple weeks, know your banker, have discussions, because they'll be able to help you with that. Listen, do we know everything? No, we don't claim to. But if you're having a conversation consistently, like at least once a quarter with your banker, they may be able to lead you in the right direction. And I told you guys, you all have my information, okay? So again, not the be all end all, I don't know everything, but you've got to decide when it's right or when you think that it's right. And a lot of times, guys, it's a year or two in business. I know it seems like a long time. But banks are typically looking for a year or two. SBA,
It's
did
about,
you already go over this?
yeah. No, I didn't go off the time frame. No, you're good. And they also said this last week too. So for the most part, and she says 1 or 2, a lot of times it's 2 years. So when you hit that 2-year threshold, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff in the mail. You'll get a whole bunch of like credit cards or offers, like, oh, you can get $45,000 as soon as you hit that 2 years, because technically that's when you're actually established as a business. So that's where they always, when you have all these things online saying you could do all this stuff, immediately it's not true. Like I said, there are always going to be deciding factors on how you can actually get that. And like I said, if you don't have a boatload of cash, if you have a whole bunch of properties and your credit is awesome, that whole, oh, I can open up an EIN today and open and get $100,000, that's not true unless you have those 3 things established, or one of the 3. That's never going to happen.
And if I could just have one more thing, and then we're gonna ask for questions because the food is here. But one more thing, guys, when you get this stuff in the mail, please, don't just apply for it. I've seen this happen so many times. They could be like, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of what's called a payday loan, but listen, they get you in big trouble. Just be very careful. If you get something, you have a banker, just take it in. Okay, most bankers are gonna help you. Like I said, I offer myself up. Okay, back to you.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. One more before we get to the questions. So you get an offer in the mail for like $45,000. It's possible to get that, but the thing is, the one thing they're going to ask for, okay, what's your residual income for the month? So a lot of times you're going to have about $5,000 to $10,000 a month of residual income to actually get any of that money. So remember that also as well. So that was the only thing else I've had to say. I'm open up for questions if you got any.
Lovely city of Harrisburg gave me a lot of tickets. Okay, so I started my business, sorry, and I did great with my credit. I have 2 years in, and actually today I just found out my credit score went down, and I think it was because the tickets that I got from the city that piled up, that, which, I'm taken care of. However, okay, I'm just being honest out there, you know what I mean? Like, okay, Harrisburg is known for the best ticketing, So now I'm in the stage that I'm about to apply for a loan, but I have these tickets. My credit, when they look up my credit score, because I went and called today and found out, and they're like, oh, you got these tickets. I'm like, what? Tickets? It's holding me back? So when you have 30 days and stuff like that, if I pay them off, it still would take time for my credit score to go up. To an extent. To an extent, okay.
To an extent. So when you pay things off sometimes, and I think that's a myth too, because you can actually, stuff will come off like within 24 to 48 hours. So I had a medical bill from Patients First. It was like $150. I thought it was actually paid through my insurance. And when I went there, I had to go get something else checked. They ended up paying it right there off my card. And then the next day, as I found out it was on my account, it actually came off and my credit score went up. So it really honestly just depends. It's like if you're getting stuff like you're disputing things and trying to get stuff off your credit, it really, really just depends. But a lot of times if you pay things off, it automatically happens within like 24, 48, or 72 hours. That's the one thing too. So it's not like a real long drawn thing. Sometimes your credit score, it might take time for your credit score to grow up, but the thing is it will be deleted off your account and reflect on that.
So at this point, we are the only thing standing between you and break.
Well,
So
and a couple announcements.
I was about to
don't
say,
forget.
so announcements will be made But I just wanted to reiterate at this point, I think Jason has used 17 reams of paper out of my office, so you have all the information that you need, but you also have our contact information. So if there's any question that you did not get a chance to ask, or if something pops up, if you're anything like me, you think about it as soon as tonight is over, please email us. Thank you.
All right, guys, just a couple announcements. So M&T Bank sponsors Proudly PA at Fort Hunter Park, and it's this Saturday. And I have tickets that I want to offer everyone. They're first come, first serve. And technically, I'm really only offering one per person. But obviously, if not everyone wants one, I could give 2 per person. So anyway, I have the tickets. I want to invite you guys. I think it's critical that we make sure that we're holding this business lab. We want to make sure that we support you as well. But first come, first serve. If you would like, please come down to the podium before you go to lunch or very shortly after you bring your food back. The other thing is, people who have sent in their pitch questions and maybe not the video, can you guys come see me if you're having that issue? Okay, because I want to make sure that I'm writing everything down. We also have, let me see. Matt, you're good. Felicia, Tia, Mariah, Jasmine, and Cecilia. Can you guys all stop down to the podium before you guys go out to eat? Food is here. We are doing the working lunch just like what we did last time. So basically 15 minutes. Please try to be back in here by like 7:15. It's 1 to 8. I'm so sorry. Fort Hunter is 1 to 8. It's all Proudly PA, so there'll be like wine and breweries, and there's bands like the Badleys. I don't know if anyone ever heard of them. I'm a fan. They're from Pennsylvania. So yeah, 1 to 8. It's all day. The tickets are typically $35. So yeah. Thank you for those questions, guys.
Hope you guys are enjoying dinner. We'll get started here again in about 2 more minutes.
All right, guys, we are obviously feel free to eat, but we do need to get started with our lovely ladies from M&T Bank. I want to introduce Jessica Walterstorff and Rachel Schaefer. Jessica is my boss, so be nice. Rachel is team member of mine. She does the same thing that Michael and I do. We are both relationship managers. They're gonna walk through some credit basics. And without further ado, it's all them.
Good evening. So I'm Jessica, and you do have some information about us, just like our predecessors, in the information, but also on your agenda, you have our information. So just like everyone else, we do want to let you know that you have our phone numbers, you have our email addresses. So all of the contacts that you've made here in the lab, please utilize them. We want you to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you in any way that we can. This is something that we love to do. It's why we're in the banking business, and specifically business banking. So we would love to help you. We wish you the best success, so please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. And I will turn it over to Rachel to begin.
All right, so I know you guys talked a lot about credit last week, but didn't go into a whole lot of detail about credit scores and just some of the specifics behind it. So we wanted to do just a little bit of a deeper dive today and give you some more explanation, hopefully answer some of those questions and clear up some of those issues. So.
Did you turn it on?
No.
I did the same thing, and I really didn't want to do it to you, but apparently I did. It's on the side. Little lever. Red to green.
Thank you. All right, so the couple areas we're going to talk through are credit score, what makes up your credit score, factors with that, how to improve it, and that's just kind of a review at the end.
Can I ask real quick, we would like this to be interactive. I hope you're enjoying dinner, but would like to ask you a couple questions. Who at this moment knows their credit score, personal credit score?
And no, you do not need to share what that is.
That's right. I'm not going to ask you what it is, but wonderful. That's a great number of hands. I'm glad to see that.
I want to also go into, if you know your credit score, shout out where you got that information from. Experian, okay. Was it something that you pulled from using a Credit Karma site, a Capital One, you have an auto loan that it pulled it, or you looked on Credit Karma? Okay, okay. So with credit scores are so crucial for credit. And it is something that my parents somewhat talked about, but they didn't get me started with credit. I got started in credit myself. And it doesn't matter your skin color, your age. The younger generations are not being taught about credit. They're not being taught that you need to have credit, that you need to start building it, that it's okay to have debt, you gotta use it appropriately. So whether you are needing to start a business, do something personally, your credit score is unfortunately going to impact you, and in many times can cause you to be declined for credit, even if you have never had an issue with paying something or you've never misused things. It can really impact that. So we just want to kind of talk through the credit score, the FICO score as it's also called, and just the different kind of bureaus that are involved with that. So first of all, what is a FICO score? So FICO scores also stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. They're calculated based solely on information and consumer credit reports maintained at the credit reporting agencies. So there are 3 credit agencies. Anyone know? I know you guys mentioned the one, Experian. Anyone know the second one? TransUnion. And the third one? Equifax. So each of those 3 credit agencies all report your credit a little bit differently. And I know that can be confusing because, especially if you're using Credit Karma, which I have Credit Karma, I get an email telling me what my credit score is. That is not your true credit score, and it can be misleading to us as individuals to know what that means. So good credit score, again, can also be misleading. I want to know, what do you think a good credit score is? 750? Anyone else? 680? So you see up here it says the range is 300 to 850. So good credit scores are typically going to be in anywhere from the 750 to 780 to 850 range. Those are what we consider good. Very good are above 800. Just good will go down to the 750, 780 range. Now, what do you think that we consider to be a bad credit score? Under 6? Someone said under 7. Anyone else want to wager? 670? You're close. So for just standard business credit lending, typically we are looking at under 675 is the minimum typically we will do for credit score, but sometimes with SBA support we can have 670, and occasionally on really small loans, and we say under 25,000, we can go down to 650, okay? So I know when I think of credit, 600s, I always thought that's still gonna be a decent credit score. I still will qualify. But unfortunately, when you look at it and you understand, it unfortunately is not. As it says here, there's no single cutoff score. Again, this is just what M&T specifically uses. Every bank is gonna be a little bit different. There are many organizations, I won't give any specific names, but there's some community organizations that can use lower credit scores because they have different parameters. So again, keep in mind, these are just some ballparks. Anything you want to add in on that specifically?
Yeah, I would say to you a couple things. First of all, when I was younger, I know that I was told the best thing about credit is to just not have any, don't get any credit, it'll get you in trouble. So that's not true. Use it wisely. But also the same thing, you can go get a mortgage if you have a 600 credit score. So that's a little bit different than your business. But your personal credit is very important to your business. So it can be one of the most important things when you're starting out your business. It can determine your interest rate. It can determine whether you get that loan or not. So I think what Rachel was saying, and even what Jason was saying earlier, is it really is a determinant that drives your business and especially that startup success.
So moving on to the next thing, how are my FICO scores calculated? I'm not going to go into detail into this because I am not a credit score analyst. I don't excel in this. I just know that it takes a lot of factors together. It takes your utilization of your credit lines. So when you have credit cards, how much you're using. It's why, and we'll speak to this a little bit later, we encourage bigger lines so that you're using less of it. Revolving debt can impact your credit more than term debt. and even the reputability of the business that you have the credit through, that company can also impact as well. So it is a strange calculation, and as we spoke about with Credit Karma and knowing your credit score, I think the biggest thing that I run up against when I have clients coming in is we pull their credit score, it comes up at, say, a 720, and they say, but look at this, I have a 768. That's unfortunately not the reality of your credit score. Anything that Credit Karma is telling you, anything that Experian is telling you, even from what is being pulled on like an auto loan or anything like that, unfortunately is not your true score. It's always inflated some. So what I recommend, and I do this myself, I look at that number, go down about 20, 30 points roughly, and that's probably your true credit score. Again, can be different for everyone, but that is just, unfortunately, we don't know our actual credit score until it's pulled. And I don't recommend you go have credit pulls, you know, that's gonna impact things as well. But it's just important to know the truth about your credit score.
That reminds me, what are some things that you've heard about credit, maybe that you're wondering? Anything off the top of your head that maybe we could answer, or some myths maybe we could debunk here?
So the question was,
Sorry, yep.
yeah,
go
well,
ahead.
the question was, why when I pull my credit, does the credit score drop?
Yeah, so you're talking about when you pull your own credit. It doesn't, so that is a myth, so thank you for saying that. When you pull your own credit, it doesn't drop, but if a third party pulls your credit, it does drop, and that's actually risk-based, so it's to show something. If you're going and applying for a lot of credit, that could be a risk to lenders, so that's why it drops it. But something good to know is what's made up of this score is, for example, let's say you're going to buy a new car. You can actually go and shop for that car. You don't have to go to one lender. You could go to multiple dealers. And something interesting about that is after about 30 days, that will drop off and it will go back up. So temporarily it'll drop down for risk, but then it'll go back up again when it's the same type of credit pulls.
And one thing I would say is, again, just being careful if you are shopping around, whether it's personally or for your business, just be careful that you're not having your credit pulled at many institutions or many companies, because that is going to show negatively. That does show as multiple hard credit pulls. So if you can do a soft credit pull compared to a hard credit pull, a hard credit pull is when you actually have the application submitted. A soft credit pull doesn't reflect as hardly on your credit, then you can at least have an idea of the credit. You could even share your credit score with a different organization and say, hey, I know my credit's a 732, and they can use that to give you quotes. So again, protect your credit as much as you can. Any other myths that anyone would like us to try to debunk?
I'd like to debunk the multiple pulls for cars and mortgages, because when I went through that process, I was told that you had like 45 days to be able to get those multiple pulls to shop rate, and it was not pretty. And it didn't, my score didn't come up, and those inquiries stayed on my report for 2 years.
So when you had like you went and bought a car, it was a mortgage, okay. Yep.
3 banks all in one day. All in one day. And when each of them, and then maybe the fourth bank, I probably did it maybe 2 or 3 days. They show different dates. They stayed on my credit report for 2 years. And my score dropped. I mean, fortunately, it was more or less the bank was more concerned with my debt-to-income ratio and my discretionary cash. So, but if I was on the verge of if I had a kind of a shaky credit score, that could have hurt me as far as my APR.
Yes, that's correct. So when that dropped, did it drop 5, 10 points and stay there? 24 points. And it stayed there for years? Okay, that's interesting. So typically, and what should happen is when it's the same type of pull, it should only be about 30 days, and then those should go away if they're pulling your credit in the proper way. So what I would say is if they were all pulling hard pulls on your credit, that might be why they didn't do the soft pull that Rachel's talking about.
You also, those inquiries, yes, they will stay on your credit report for at least a year or two, but that's something you can explain. So when you're going to do something else and the bank says, I see you have multiple inquiries, but we see they're all for a mortgage, all for an auto loan, we can understand that. So something like that makes sense to us, and we can justify it if it's, you know, a pull for a mortgage, a pull for an auto loan, a pull for this credit card. Then we're wondering, you're trying to seek credit in many different ways. What's going on here? And we want to get an understanding of that.
I have a question about debt solutions. So there's a lot of credit repair specialists and companies, and there's like letters you can send to the credit bureaus to dispute things, or when like if you have a debt and then they send it to collections that you can dispute it. Are these things true, or are these people hustling?
That is true, yes. If you have something on your credit report, and I believe we will speak to credit reports in just a moment, that you discover that something is wrong, whether it's a medical collection or something that was on there, yes, you do want to dispute that with the credit bureau, and you want to get that removed so that it is reported correctly.
I will say, though, to your point, there are people out there that say, for a fee, we can help you fix your credit, or we can lower your payments. You can do that just the same as anyone else, so don't use a service like that. That is something you don't need to do. So first of all, you don't necessarily want to enter into a repayment. That's going to be a mark on your credit. It will show negatively. You want to make sure you are paying back your debts. But also, if you are going to work out a payment plan to pay something back in full, or you're going to try to talk to these collectors, you can do that the same as any third party. So I would never enter into any third party contract.
So the next section here is just public record and collection items. We're not going to go deep into this because, again, we are not attorneys, we are bankers. But there are other factors that really can negatively impact your credit score. Those are bankruptcies, lawsuits, and wage attachments. So again, with bankruptcies, some of them will completely fall off after 7 to 10 years. There are times that we can use documentation that shows that something's been fully taken care of to help your case. But with lawsuits and wage attachments, these are negative things that are going to hurt your credit for a long period of time, okay? So again, kind of what we talked about, factors that affect your score. First amount here is the amount owed on all accounts. So I know this wasn't mentioned, but a myth I will try to debunk here is what I was always taught is that if you pay your same amount of payment every month on everything, you're gonna have great credit. And it's just gonna keep going up and up and up. Unfortunately, it doesn't exactly work like that. The creditors want to see timely payments, but they also want to see the use of your credit. They don't wanna see everything staying flat. They wanna see that you used your credit card and then paid it back, that you used it a lot and then paid it back. You used it a little and then paid it back. They want to see that you have the ability to manage it. So the amount that you owe on them, the balances, that will impact. One thing when you talked about inquiries, you should notice if you use a credit card and you use $6,000 of a $10,000 balance one month, and the next month you only use $3,000, your credit score will drop when you have that $6,000 reported. And then it will go back up when it's paid off and only the $3,000 is used. And that's good. That's showing a healthy use of the credit. So similar to that, the amount owed on different types of accounts, you want to have a good, healthy balance between revolving debt, so credit cards, lines of credit, anything that revolves, that you have access to. A home equity, something like that would be considered revolving. And then also installment loans, mortgages, any type of business term loans that you might have. And then your credit utilization ratio, one thing, and we'll talk about in the improve your score piece, how much you are using of your full credit line can really positively and negatively impact your credit score. So if you are using 50, 60, 70% of your available credit, you're gonna have a lower credit score. And if you get an increase and are using less of it, your score will go up, which again, seems counterintuitive. Why give me availability to more? Because again, the credit bureaus want to see good, proper use of the credit that you've been given. It shows that you can manage it appropriately. Any comments to add?
There's a lot that goes into this. I would suggest, and it sounds like you all do, you monitor it, but how many of you you've heard of Credit Karma? Have you heard of Experian Boost? Okay, so that gives you a boost. That's not necessarily going to translate to a bank seeing that boost. So you're doing all the right things, but just make sure that you're looking at every month, if you can, what's affecting your score. And I would say, think about if you have a credit card personally, especially as business owners, your personal score is so important. So what I would do is we'll talk about it later, but you don't want to close cards, you don't want to necessarily eliminate credit, but maybe use one credit card for gas every month and know that you set that amount aside and then you pay it off, or use it for groceries or whatever you're purchasing monthly, and then you pay that off. So you know that that'll help you show that you're utilizing that credit and then using it responsibly to pay it off. So just one quick tip there. Yes, ma'am.
So the question I have is if you have two banks and you may have credit cards with them and you keep them, I know the rule of thumb is that if you could just keep, the banks really like it if you use less than 15% of your available credit, or at no more than 30%. However, you might have two banks and you have two, and they'll provide you your free FICO score. But when you go and pull your credit, it's a different score. Your bank may have one high, it may give you a higher score than your actual score. Why is that?
Great question.
Again, it's with the various factors that go into your credit score. Unfortunately, when you are getting that Experian pull or TransUnion or whatever it is through your bank or through whatever company, they are not able to actually see your true score. They're pulling the factors together to try and come up with a close to your score, as close as possible. And again, I know that doesn't explain much without speaking to the credit bureaus themselves. Maybe they could explain, hopefully, but that's the best that we can kind of share, is that it's just not a true representation, that's actually lower than that.
Also sometimes, and you might see it depending on who you're using, it might say powered by TransUnion. So you might be looking at one that is TransUnion, which has a totally different score than Experian. So they use different factors, and so each bureau would have a different score.
Is that, so you're saying that if you have a credit card as a business, this is what I've been doing, I will spend, let's say if I spend $10,000 a month, I pay it all off as soon as that bill comes in, not use, so I reason why I do that, so I don't use the, I don't want to pay the interest. So is that like the better way to do it, or do banks or look at that and say, she's paying it all off, but she's not really using her credit?
It's a great way to do it. I think that's great. That's responsible use of credit. And what happens is it's still reported that you have that balance. So because you have the balance when the statement goes out, and then it shows that you paid it. So it's a great way to do it.
And one thing I'll add to that is when you get to a point where you can do an increase, still only use the same amount so that you're not using all of it. But we as a bank are going to see then good use. With lines of credit that we have for businesses, when I have a customer who wants an increase on their line of credit because they're growing, I have a construction company like this that he comes to me every 6 months, hey, I need an increase. And I've told him, I said, I need to see your active use. Use it all, pay it all back. Use 2/3, pay it back. Continually paying that down shows proper effective use of that line and shows the bank that you are able to manage it effectively. Question up here. Did you have a question still?
It's not a question, maybe an inquiry. A line of credit can be secure and unsecure. So if you get a line of credit that's secure, you have to put collateral up, a home. So in the business, since you can't commingle funds, how does one separate it? Because usually you don't own a personal home based on the business. You have a structure, a building that you buy that's related to your business, so there's a lot of nuances here. So I didn't want to, unsecure where you can just go in. But what I've done, since I'm quite older, I actually put more money on my credit card. So I have a positive balance, whereas I don't owe them any. I have $5,000 sitting in so I spend $5,000, but I don't have to pay any back. So they owe me. It's reverse. I do the reverse concept. Does that make sense? Yes, it does, yeah. But I think I confuse people with that, right? What I do is, if I have a $10,000 line of credit, I will have my personal cash, put $5,000 on so if I decide to spend, I don't have to pay nothing back because I already put my money into the credit card. I get what you're saying. That's another concept, the undersized, if you could. You put if say you owe $5,000 and you pay it off, put extra on it, and then you have that money sitting there because you're really using your money, and you're not really paying interest on it because the credit card owns you. So what would a lender think about that? They think that's terrific. They do? It's genius, right? Because you still use it. You still use it. You're ahead of the game. It's something. It's deferred or it's accrued. You have accrued fund. It's a good way. It's different. Banks don't do it like that, so they do not like it. That's why they're looking at you funny.
It's different, and I am, because the word nuanced is a good point, because I think we could talk about this for hours, and I think the concept is more of a reverse mortgage, which is highly regulated, so I hesitate to get into that whole conversation, but...
And I would say in the interest market we're in right now,
Yeah.
maybe put your funds to use earning interest instead, rather than, because on the credit card, it's not going to earn any interest for you,
Yeah.
whereas there are many vehicles in the high interest rate environment that we unfortunately have right now. On the depository side, there are more benefits for people right now, so you might want to put your money to... Sure. 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 Sure.
Some years ago, I was living in Philadelphia at the time, so maybe I was just with a different crowd of people, because I haven't heard about it again since then. Trade lines for credit. It's when you purchase someone's credit to, oh. I said I wasn't Philly.
I can believe it. I can believe it in Philly.
Good
Got
question.
some stories from Philly.
Good question.
So when you get a line of credit, does it hit your credit, or can you do it to your business's credit?
So on a business line of credit, and we could touch on this all day, but when you're doing a business line of credit, we pull your personal credit originally in order to determine what you're eligible for. We do not report on your personal line of credit then on a monthly basis. It will show when you would pull your credit report to see that you have access to it, but it is not formally reporting to your monthly credit because it's under the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of times as a business owner, you'll find that, and I'm sure they talked about it at a prior time, but you're going to personally guarantee, so your personal credit is important as well.
So if you have poor credit, what are ways or things that you can do to improve your score? I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with you. It can take, just kind of like the saying, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. If you have something negative that hurts your credit, it will drop it instantaneously 100 points, 150 points, whatever it may be, in one day. It could take 6 months, a year, or longer to improve 30, 40, 50 points, whatever it may be. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the unfortunate truth about it. It takes a long time to repair poor credit. So it's something that as much as we can encourage you from the beginning, and as much as we can to the next generations, I have 4 kids, and I want to be able to teach them how to manage their credit. I met someone who he started by adding his kids as authorized users to his credit card, not giving them the card, but just adding them as an authorized user, so every time he pays down his credit card, their credit starts building up. And he managed it to make sure that nothing happened to it. They never had access to use it, but kids, typically they're 18, 19 years old, maybe going to college, trade school, starting a job, whatever it may be, and they don't have credit. So if we can teach the next generations from the beginning how to manage their credit, to start in a good place, then we're doing our kids a good thing, a good service, and hopefully passing that on. So the best advice, as it says here, is really to manage it responsibly over time. As you talked about those quick fix efforts with some of the credit repair companies, they can backfire. You got to be careful, really vet them out, so just beware. But take your time, take the steps, whether it's, I have a current client who our advice to her is to request increases on her credit card so that she's starting to use it more and actively use it, because she was taught, don't use credit. Credit is bad, don't have it. So I'm really encouraging her. We as a bank are taking a step with her and lending her a small amount and hoping that she can utilize it appropriately and then build from there.
There are hard money lenders. How do they affect your credit?
That's a great question. So first of all, they charge a lot of interest, so that's negative. And it can, I don't necessarily know that it could negatively affect your credit. If you have good credit, there's no reason to use them. Typically what it is that they're lending to people that are higher risk, so it's a higher interest rate, and that's why they charge that. There are some regulations around it. However, if you're using a hard money lender, that's not going to necessarily show well if you have that and you're coming to another bank. But I don't necessarily think that it has a negative impact on good credit. It's just that if you have good credit, you don't want to use them. What I would say too, as far as good credit and building credit, managing it over time, we are here as advisors as well. So with our business customers, we talk about how do we increase credit, how do we manage credit. We've been able to see personally just increases in credit scores, 50 points over 6 months. And it has to do sometimes not with negative marks, sometimes there's mistakes, sometimes there's a small bill, DirecTV, how many have had DirecTV, put $50 on your account after you had stopped, services with them. Sometimes it's the principal. You didn't pay it because you knew you didn't owe it. Sometimes you just need to pay it because it'll fix your credit. Sometimes I've had people that have money, excess funds that they're keeping for a rainy day, but then they have a lot of debt. Well, if they take those funds and pay off that debt, it actually reversed their entire credit picture. We were able to go from a decline on giving them lending to an approval within 6 months. So things can change, and we're here to give you advice as well.
So the last thing I want to touch on, because again, we could talk about credit for hours, but the last thing is when you are a new business, when you're starting up, and even when you're an existing business, business credit looks at 2 scores. We look at your personal FICO score, it's based on you, and then we also look at a business SBSS score. And that is a score that is not anything you can pull anywhere. It's only something that banks can pull, and it is comprised of a lot of factors. Some basic ones are the type of industry you are, how long you've been in business, what your personal credit looks like, what kind of activity you've had already, and if there's anything negative going on in that. And that credit score, a good SBSS score is around 170, okay? So it's a different metrics as well too. What I will say briefly on that is when you first start in business, unless you are buying the business from someone else and it's a really strong industry, you're probably not going to meet the metrics that we need or a bank needs for that SBSS score. And it's something that you really can't do much to impact until you build time and longevity in your business. So we are then going to look at your personal credit score to kind of compensate. And with that, banks are going to need a higher personal credit score to compensate for a poor business SBSS score. So unfortunately, the typical levels of maybe that 670, 675, we actually need to see you in the 720 and greater range to compensate for that SBSS score. So again, all things that we could talk for hours about, but be aware and understand that there are 2 factors. That's what the bank is going to look at, and just, you know, use that knowledge.
Okay, the SBSS score, how long does it take for you to get that score?
So it's immediate, as soon as you are a registered business and you go apply for credit, it is generated. If you apply for credit. Yep. Well, if you're a, well, when you apply for credit, something will show up. If it's a business, so if it's credit in the business name, then yes, it would be. The SBSS is business related. So when it's business credit card, business loan, anything like that, that's what impacts. Your personal can impact it as well, but it's really pulled from the business. And I know you were kind of speaking a little bit about that as well.
He just wants to say more. I mean.
I do. No, I'm not really. So in that packet.
Literally 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. In that pack, all the stuff that they were talking about as far as that you want to check on stuff, it's all in those packets. So the SBS score, the DMB score, all that's in those packets. And they all have different factors of scores, like DMB's up to 100 points. So it's a lot of different factors in there. So I would definitely look at that.
Thank you.
Yes, SBS score.
Yeah, it's a lot of factors, guys. It takes a while.
Dun & Bradstreet.
But not everyone uses Dun & Bradstreet, so it depends on the bank. Also keep that in mind. Different banks pull different reports. They use different reporting agencies. So again, everything that we're kind of going over with you is more of an overview and a brief. You gotta be careful, right? Like you can go to a bank that, I don't know, give me a super small bank. Presence Bank, is that? Super small, People's Bank, they look at different things. I worked for 4 different banks, and when I tell you that every single one of those banks used a little bit different scoring method than the other bank, totally true. So again, don't get too far in the weeds. We're just trying to help you understand kind of what banks are looking at.
And also remember, when you get your business credit pull, it's an inquiry the same way as your personal credit. So remember that too. So you can get multiple inquiries for like random stuff that you would never know because people do pull your credit for your business credit. So you can get inquiries the same exact way.
And as lenders, we don't know what goes into that score necessarily. So when it's pulled, they tell us what it is, but due to conflict of interest, we don't know what went into that. So that's another thing. But wrapping up this conversation, there is a lot of good information. We would love to talk more about it. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a message. Did you learn something? Do you have more information?
Yay.
Yes, okay. Who's excited for the pitch competition? Yes? Yes? Okay. Thank you very much. It's been great to be here with you. Rachel said she has kids. I have 3 small boys, young boys, I should say. They're not necessarily small. It's been wonderful to be here with you. I'm wishing you all the success. I hope to be here the next few weeks. Excited to see your pitch and what you guys do with your small businesses. So best of luck to you, and please reach out to us and use your resources.
Great job. Give them a hand. They did awesome. A lot of questions coming out, right? Guys, thank you so much for today. We covered a lot. Like I said, I kind of already briefed on everything that we covered. Banks, credit scores, credit bureaus. There is so much that goes into it. Again, 4 banks, not that I like to advertise that, but I've worked for 4 banks. Bigger banks do things differently than smaller banks do things. M&T does things a little bit different than, Wells Fargo or something like that. Keep that in mind. Like I said, we're here to give you an overview. We want to make sure that you understand what goes into credit bureaus. The packets that Jason shared with you, guys, I asked him for a packet, and I've been in banking for 25 years because there's so much information in them. Please take a look at them. There's a lot of questions that are answered in there as well. So, week 5, guys. You're through week 5. What do we need to do tonight? I'm just curious. Questions and videos. It's up to you. Don't make it hard on yourself. You're already doing the video, right? However, any specific questions like that, keep in mind, I don't want to mess up your pitch, okay? I want to make sure that you guys are all qualified. Email Natalie and Gail, or Gail. If you only have one, that's fine too. Remember, guys, before midnight, okay? Seriously, we have to take that midnight seriously. Those that stop that I had questions, we should be good. But if anything comes up after you guys leave here, please email Natalie and Gail, okay? We do not want your video to affect your pitch and that you're not able to, compete in the pitch. We want to make sure that technology is not the reason, okay? Because we all want you to succeed. All right. How we feeling? Guys, good luck tonight. I'm super excited. I can't wait. If anyone else, one more thing, if anyone else would like an extra ticket to Proudly PA, come see me, okay? All right, good luck, everyone. I'm so excited. Come see me at the podium. Have a great night, guys.